Live, we're live.
Hello, everybody. Another Monday. Here we go. Okay, so today we are on the subject of action, and what it comes right down to is not spending all your time, not spending all your time studying without actually doing the work. So this subject came up for me because I caught myself doing it. We learn, we've had these amazing people. We have these amazing people in our lives that pound this into us. Like 20% of your time should be spent on learning, and 80% of your time should be spent on implementing what you learn. So that comes right. It's not just
learning.
Yeah, it's self-help. When you're studying, you're reading books and you're listening to audio. Hold on a second. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to shut this off. When you are listening to audio or reading books, it's really easy to just keep doing that and spending a lot of time doing that, and not actually taking the action or implementing what you learn, or really being conscious about implementing what you learn. For myself, I love audiobooks. So I'd catch myself listening to audiobooks every chance I got throughout the day, and without actually implementing what I was listening to. So until I started to implement what I was actually listening to, I didn't feel a difference. I would just get spurts of motivation and inspiration by listening to it, because light bulbs go off all over the place. So you get excited and you feel like you've kind of woken up to things that you didn't quite understand or know prior to the material. But then you just carry on in the same habits that you've had after the book is shut off, or you put the book down, or you finish the video, or whatever it might be. So if you break it down to roughly 20% of actually taking in and absorbing the information, and then intentionally doing 80% of your day actually implementing it, intentionally paying attention to your actions, your thoughts, what you're doing throughout your day. Like for myself, when it comes to my spiritual journey, I've listened, of course, to quite a few spiritual books, and when I'm listening to them, I'm like, wow, like it's such an eye opener and it's exciting, and it gets me worked up, like really excited, because you feel like you've broken through something that can really change your life. And I put the book down and I go back to my life, not paying attention to my thoughts or my emotions or stuff like that. So 20% of actually absorbing the information, and 80% the rest of your day paying attention and being intentional and being conscious of what you learned and how you can use it in your day-to-day life. And it's best not to look at the big picture, but to just look at the day that you have in front of you. Like I know for myself, what's really helped me is, instead of saying this is my year or I have big plans for this year, I just focus on the day and do what's important in that day and make sure I get done what I can to the best of my ability in that day. And when you make sure that each day is productive, then ultimately your year will be productive. But when we look at the big picture, it gets daunting and overwhelming. So even when it comes to implementing the stuff that you're absorbing and the information that you're taking in, it's just that day, that one thought. The next time you get angry or upset at something, catching yourself in that moment and responding accordingly is good enough. That's all you can do. You can't look at the big picture and change the big picture. You can only change it one moment at a time. So yeah, I think the biggest lesson here, or the topic here, is make sure you don't get caught up in spending all your time absorbing information without actually applying the action that you need to apply for you to personally grow and change habits for yourself. That's it.
Hey, there are so many things that came up for me as you were talking. One major point that came up for me was maybe in about a year ago. I don't know. We were just starting these hangouts, and you kept really saying, "Oh, and I caught myself doing this," you know. "Oh, and I caught myself doing that," and I was sitting there going, "Wow, she really is on top of things. She's just, you know, on the ball here. I'm not. I'm just, you know, it's mucky here. I don't even know what I'm doing." And there
Mucky.
she is, really on the ball. So I think it's made me think that perhaps, you know, you go through phases, and some phases you'll be really attentive at this particular point that you're, you know, you're reading on, or whatever it is you're doing, and you can really concentrate, and then you can apply it. And I think also it also made me realize that you might have to initially, you know, get, well, I tend to have to be like that. You know, I need to have information from A, B, C, D. I mean, you know, a good number of people before I find the word that I, you know, I can understand that word and that word, but all in between is a bit, I don't understand it. You know, it doesn't resonate to the core, so to speak. So I have to keep looking, and that's just me personally. I really have to always delve deep, deep until I find those core words or values or whatever they are. And I can assure you, you know, I remember. Well, anyway, I digress. But anyway, I remember in the amphitheaters, you know, at university, we used to sit there, and I would raise my hand, going, "Sorry," and they would go, "Oh God, she's off again," you know, zillions of people and what have you. But until you'd said those words that I needed, I just would not understand. So it's, you know, that's just my way of doing things. So don't be afraid either if you do have to, you know, go through zillions of books and they're not making any sense. Maybe the next one, the beginning sentence, and it'll all go, "Oh my goodness." Also, sometimes I find that, you know, it's a lot different now with audiobooks, because you can just go back to a couple of chapters, you can look at it, you know, listen to it fast. But in the old days when we just had books, I would also have zillions of books, and, you know, just have a couple of chapters out of this one, a chapter here. That one I did read fully because it was really interesting, you know. So you can just pick your information wherever. And yeah, listening to you now, I just thought, Brittany before was really working on a particular point. This is just my interpretation. Please, nobody take, you know, I'm not saying this is Brittany's life and da da da. This is just how things could be interpreted. So that, you know, you were really working on something that you'd focused on, and you sort of got those words that you were, you know, needed to move forward, and you were really concentrating on that. And I can assure you, go back and you listen, and you'll be saying, "I was in the middle of an argument. I said, oh no, can't be doing that. I've got to step back." You know, I was like, wow, you know, I just dumb smut because you're like totally on top of it. And whereas, you know, if I'm in an argument, I'm in an argument. I went, now, you know, I've got my little thing right now that's helping me. But and so maybe now you're in the phase where, because you're not, you know, you haven't found those words, and you don't, maybe you're very young, so you might not know, you know, your particular way of working, right? I just studied when I was younger, so that's the only thing that didn't, you know, I couldn't face the outside world, so that was just my, you know, my security blanket was just to study. So I sort of know how I work. But a lot of people take a little bit longer, maybe because they didn't go and study. You know, you were in the army, for God's sakes. I could never ever. I mean, you know, that is just, so to each his own. But, you know, so I was just thinking that perhaps, you know, you're looking for those words, and because you're not finding it, you're getting in like overwhelmed because you're not finding it. You've got all this information. You're going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I need to listen to that again, or I didn't, you know. And perhaps you know, you then panic and you're like, oh yeah, I've only got to do that. But that is also a lesson you have to learn, is like, okay, I've read this book about 3 times. I think I can try and apply just this little chapter or this little phrase, or, you know, this book has got 10 points in it. Maybe I can apply point number 5, or whatever it might be, you know. That also depends on how you personally work. And I think everyone needs to find out how they work. So admittedly, yes, we always, most of us, especially when we're starting a business online, we tend to get into, you know, learning mode, because it's a lot easier than, oh my God, I got to put an ad out. Oh my God, you know. But I did find that, you know, when you do put the ad out, you know, it's really exciting. It's just another thing. It's really, really exciting. So that's just another little, I really didn't want to throw that in there, because yeah, but everything you're doing is totally right. I mean, you have to stop learning and just apply it. But for me, I just know that, you know, I read recently, I don't know where I got this from actually. Goodness me. But the woman was talking about how the system works, how your nervous system works, and all, you know, all this. And oh yes, I do. It was that book, Jill Bolt, Jill Taylor Bolt, the neuroscience who had a stroke. And so she's really explaining how the brain works and everything. And she says, you know, when you're in an argument or something, you're reacting to something, and you've got the first 90 seconds, you can't do anything about that. You're in reactive mode. After the 90 seconds, you make a choice to either go down that road or come out, you know, not go down that path. And so that for me has been, you know, I've just been applying that for now, you know, till that becomes a habit. Like you were so saying, you know, to make habits, we have to form habits. So habits take minimum 21 days. At best, I'd say 90, you know, to make it really just a habit. So that's, you know, something I'm really working on, and it is making my life quite a lot easier, because I just, you know, as soon as I catch myself getting angry, I'm like, first 90 seconds, I can do nothing. Just accept all the physiology that's going on in your body, you know, thank your cells. And now what can I do? You know, so I'm working on that. But I'm also working on, like you so rightly say, you know, now what can I do just this second, just this particular second? What can I do to move myself forwards, or my business, or, you know, keep just one idea and not have zillions sort of flying out at you, which is always very difficult, especially when you know how to build a website. You're like, oh yeah, I'll just quickly build a website and just have a new idea out there. You never know. And it's like, ooh, may be good, may not be good, but yeah, you've got to try and put it into action. So, you know, but I took forever to find that particular piece of information, which to me was very handy, because, you know, I'm a chemist. I like to go into sales and stuff. So to me, it was really like, got it, can't do anything. Okay, I can just, you know, doesn't mean to say I'm perfect at it yet.
That's a really good point, actually. Yeah, okay. Can I jump in, Kat? I have a couple things that came up. That's a really, really good point, because I'm not perfect. I still have a lot of moments where I come out of it and I'm like, whoa, I could have dealt with that differently, you know, and the moment's already gone and passed. And that's going to happen. You're never going to be perfect. The more you learn, the more you have to learn. And that is, I think, 100% true. The more aware I become, the more aware I become of how unaware I am, if that makes sense. So yes, that's a really, really good point, is you can't beat yourself up. All you can do is move on to the next moment, move on to the next situation or circumstance, and just be in it and do your best. And it's important too, when you do have those times when you come out of it and you're like, holy, like I was really wrapped up there and not really being aware of what was happening, completely in reaction mode. It's good not to be upset with yourself. You need to embrace that and say, wow, I noticed that in that moment I wasn't with it, you know, and that in itself is growth. When you can just become aware, even after the fact, that you could have dealt with it differently, or that you could have taken a different approach, that is growth. And another thing that I wanted to touch on is that when I first started, especially like spiritual books, sometimes they'll use words that we have a different perception on, that they use it in one way, but we have another. When it's said, the meaning is different to us than what they actually mean, that what the author actually means. So there are books that I have read or listened to multiple times, and it wasn't until even books that I kept, I couldn't get through, because I just could not grasp it. I didn't get it. And then went back to, after I've listened to a dozen other books that are all over the place, not even in the same subject really. And then I come back to that book and boom, all of a sudden it starts to make sense to me. So Kat is 100% right. Like so I have an example. I went to I went to an investing seminar. I don't even know how I ended up there. I investing in the stock market. I don't. This isn't something that yeah, this isn't something that I was like, I want to go learn how to invest in the stock market, and I want to be an investor. This wasn't on my radar. However, I ended up at this seminar, and this massive seminar, not like massive, but 2,500 people. That's a big group, big room, and we're learning this stuff. And I am not one. I struggle with learning. I always have. Like in school and stuff, I would always have to get the lesson over again or spend my free time with my teacher relearning because I don't learn. I'm actually getting better. I'm getting to know how I learn better. But numbers are not good for me. Math, not a strong suit. So I'm listening to this, and it was 3 days, and I'm sitting there thinking, there's no way I could do this. There's no, like, I do not get a single thing they're saying. And it was just a huge cloud. Like, I was not following whatsoever. And I thought, well, I'm glad I didn't pay for this. Like, I have no idea what's going on here. Well, day 3, because now I know that instead of shutting down because I don't understand it, and I just try and stay engaged as much as I can, even if I didn't get the last 3 hours, maybe I'll get this hour. You just don't know. So staying engaged as much as you can, even though you don't get it, it will come full circle eventually. So I guess what I'm saying, what I've learned for myself is that if I'm patient with myself, and I accept that I don't get it. So I don't shut myself down because I don't get it. I don't beat myself up because I just can't learn it. I don't get angry or frustrated. Just say, okay, I just don't understand it. I'm just going to keep trying. And that's all you can do with anything. So for myself, the only thing that has gotten me through, the only thing that made me graduate, if to begin with, was perseverance. Just knowing that I had to show up, and I had to keep listening and paying attention, whether I got it or not, whether it made sense or not. And eventually it comes around circle. And even if all the information doesn't come together for you, you continue to trek on, and you just take it, like Kat said, you listen to whatever books, like maybe you'll listen to 3 chapters or read 3 chapters and move on to the next book. I've done that lots. It's just, I guess really what it is 2 things. It's consistency and perseverance. And if you can have those 2 things and just take it easy on yourself, then you just don't give up. That's it. You just don't give up. You just continue to do it. Just because it's not easy doesn't mean that it's not happening. And you'll be surprised because, like, for myself, when I came out of that seminar, there was 2 people, one on either side of me, who are very smart people. Like, they're very intelligent people. And I was explaining to them little things here and there. Now, it was all around, all of us helping each other out, but my mind was picking things up that I didn't know. And that's what will happen when we listen to books or we read books. Even if it's not in the forefront of our consciousness, it's there. We are still absorbing the information. So yeah, be patient with yourself. And like Kat said, even if it's only number 5 recommendation in the book that you start implementing, or 1 chapter or 1 sentence that you're like, oh, okay, I understand that, and you start implementing it, it's as long as you are taking action, as long as you are doing what you need to do, whatever you do get, even if you don't fully get it and you're just trying, you're just moving forward, even though you're like, I don't even know if I'm doing this right. You just keep putting the action forward, and it gets easier. It's not even that it gets easier, it's that you get to know yourself. And when the more you get to know yourself, the smoother it feels. Like, for myself, there's certain things that I've listened to or read, and I'm like, wow, yeah, I don't get that. I listened to it down the road, months down the road, and I'm like, whoa, that's totally it. That's what I've been missing. And it's boom, I get it. And then I can start implementing it. Whereas 6 months ago, it was like a complete cloud to me. So without repeating myself, I think it's, just make sure that you don't get stuck in learning mode. You do your best to implement what you can, and persevere. Stay consistent and persevere.
Action, not forgetting action.
Action.
It also made me think of, had this thought the other day. I was walking the dog and I saw these parents, they're taking the tiny little bubba out the car, you know, like coming back from the hospital type thing. And it was just so sweet. And immediately a flood of memories came, you know, rushing back. And I just, you know, as I do now, everything's marketing for me. So I just thought, well, it's like having a business. I mean, you know, when you have a business, it's like that. And people expect to be in profit year one, you know, some people are. But perhaps it was ready, perhaps they had the time, whatever. But we don't know what hassles they had before. So they came and, you know, had this success. Everyone has their, you know, everyone who is successful really respects the others successful people, because we all know what it takes to get there, right? It's not a walk in the park. And I just thought, you know, we really expect so much of ourselves. I mean, here we are learning online marketing or stuff on the internet. Yeah, no, I don't expect you to know it in the first month. You know, it's a three-year degree course in a university. You're learning it every day. It's changing because we're learning it live, you know. And no, I don't really expect you to, you know, click in. Not a problem, as long as you're, you know, doing the work. As like Brittany was saying, staying consistent, and you know, and it comes at you from all angles, and you're like, oh my god. But eventually, from this murky water, the mud will settle, and you just, ooh, you'll see crystal clear.
Yeah.
And you know, and yeah, so you know, it's like when you first change a diaper, you're like, what? Hello, you know. Or the first time that, you know, the poo goes out the diaper, you're like, what do I do? How do I do? You know, it's like, oh my god, a whole load of times, you know. Or I remember once I had this jumper. I love this jumper, but it had these sort of sleeves. Well, that had to go. When you're changing diapers, that just has to go. Or you know, they get bigger, and then these big clumpy earrings, those have to go also, because it's like, oh, you know, you do that once, twice, and that's it. You know, so all these things, but you learn with experience. And is it painful? Yeah, to have your earring, you know, chomped out by a kid. It's just grabbing it for that, you know, for fun. Yeah, it's like when they grab your hair. That's kind of, you know, but you know, and all these are just learning. So try and compare it to parenting. Is no book is, you know, you can't have a, you can read as many books, and believe you me, I read tons of books while I was pregnant, from the first to the fourth. You know, I never stopped reading, because you can always learn from, you know, the book I'd learned for the first one, I learned from that on top of, you know, so you can always learn. And no childbirth situation is the same, no baby is the same. So of course you're constantly learning. And it's the same with your business, you know, and your life with your business is also a mindset game. And I was thinking of something, the only thing we can change, we can be responsible for, is our environment. I've noticed that because you know, when you're with toxic people and you don't know it, okay, you don't know it, but when you become aware that you're with toxic people and you do nothing about it, that's kind of detrimental to your own health and to your own self-esteem and da 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 da. So you start, you know, a different spiral than saying, okay, well, those guys aren't really too. I don't really want to hang out with those guys anymore. You know, I'd rather do, you know, come home and have my webinar rather than sit in front of the telly or whatever it is. You know, we've had these discussions before, but it's all a big unit, a big unity, and it's like, you know, it's a big job like parenting. Or, you know, well, I don't like to say passing a degree, because once you've got your diploma, you're supposed to go out and get a job, aren't you? But you know, do you land that dream job today? No, you don't. So, you know, today we have millions of opportunities online, and that is true, and that is fantastic. But you know, it doesn't come easy. There's no guidebook. I can give you all the guidebooks, you know, as Brittany and I try and give you all the hints we can. You're the only one that's experiencing it in your own life, and so, you know, you learn how you work. Oh yeah, that's nice. I didn't know I did that. I know, you know, and you're constantly learning. And then you can try and implement. Some people you'll please, some people you won't. And that's just it. You know, that's just life. You can't say, you know, you walk into a room or a friend's party or something and you please everyone. I sure don't, that's for sure. You know, I'm bound to piss someone off at some point without meaning to. You know, that's just life. So you learn to deal with that and you carry on. But, you know, sorry, something I feel very passionate about, because I think people are really, really hard on themselves and they should be a little bit more tolerant. But it doesn't mean we don't do anything. We get up, you know, we get up and we do something. But, you know, I've stopped flagellating. 50 odd years. So my back is accepting this lovely
It's one of the biggest lessons that you have to learn on when you start doing personal development. When you want to actually grow as a person, that's one of the biggest lessons to learn is not to be hard on yourself, not to speak to yourself like you wouldn't speak to someone else.
Yeah.
And being aware, catching yourself that we say some really harsh things to ourselves that are, one, bullshit, and two, we would never say it to someone that we loved. So it's something else for real.
Yeah. But it's just we start listening, and I think that's where you know, it's like, oh my God, am I really saying that?
Yeah. Yeah. No wonder I can't get anywhere.
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah. Then you stop saying it, but it doesn't come overnight. It's not because you stop saying it that, you know, these years of, you know, layers that you've got have got to come off, and, you know, best you can.
That's right.
That's it for today.
Okay. We will see you all next week.
Yep.
For another round. Have a beautiful week, and remember to take action. Whatever that action looks like, remember to take action. Okay, bye for now, everybody. Mwah.
Bye.